Hi, it's Pastor Andy with Wednesday's discipleship video. And in Monday's video, I discussed the fact that faith and government can exist together. In fact, I argue that if we have any type of belief system at all, if we have any kind of conviction in anything or with anything, including matters of faith, then that conviction will inevitably intersect with some aspect of law or some ruling, etc. But as Americans, we do have religious liberty. It was not granted explicitly in the United States Constitution. It was added as an amendment later, but it is the First Amendment, and in some sense, it allows all of the remaining or subsequent amendments to have proper footing. The Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, were all brought in together. They were all voted upon, ratified as the key word, together. But the first of those amendments is placed first for a reason. It provides us protection to speak and to act on our beliefs, including and especially our religious beliefs. Now, in the Sunday school guide that we're using for Ezekiel and Daniel, there is a bonus section in the Explore the Bible Quick Source aspect, and I'm going to be drawing a quote or two from this to discuss this next little part. This is in the winter 2021-2022 Quick Source. It talked about the fact that religious freedom was granted first by God. Adam was given the freedom to eat from any tree except one, and even then, he was given the freedom of whether or not to eat the fruit. Even when the fruit was handed to him, he had the choice of whether or not to partake of the fruit. Joshua famously charged the people, "Choose this day whom you will serve," or we might specifically say, choose which God you will worship. Again, there was freedom given in the land. Such a charge by Joshua was made to encourage them to choose the one true God, the God who had delivered them, not some other type of God, lowercase g. The book, the Quick Source Guide, then provides a couple of quotes, one from John Leland, which was a great Baptist pastor in the latter part of the 18th century, and also by the father of the Constitution, James Madison. The quote from Leland says this. This came from a sermon in 1791. Leland declared, quote, Every man must give an account of himself to God, and therefore every man ought to be at liberty to serve God in that way that he can best reconcile it to his conscience. If government can answer for individuals at the day of judgment, let me be controlled by it in religious matters. Otherwise, let me be free. End quote. Nearly 20 years earlier, in 1774, again, the father of the Constitution, James Madison, wrote this, quote, Religious bondage shackles and debilitates the mind and unfits it for every notable enterprise, every expanded prospect. End quote. I am thankful that America was founded on the principle of religious liberty. That liberty is being threatened today, and if it is lost, the very fabric of this country will unravel faster than any of us can imagine. But we must also realize that liberty does not just mean freedom to do something, it means freedom to not do something as well. As we consider the book of Daniel, we find stories of individuals quietly rebelling, if you want to use that word, and being put into positions of punishment for it. That punishment might be a fiery furnace, or it might be a den of lions. But regardless, it was punishment. However, those who were facing that punishment from the state, from the king, exercised their liberty and did not fight back either. Instead, they trusted God for deliverance, and God delivered. Jesus also trusted God for deliverance, and he was killed. But he was delivered from the grave. Peter, Paul, others trusted God for deliverance, and they came to a certain death at the hand of the state, and yet they were delivered into eternity with God, and their words carry on in our lives today. Frankly, this is quite difficult to understand, because when we are offended, we want to fight back. But the Bible is filled with examples. Joseph is another one that comes to mind, that was imprisoned for not doing anything, and ultimately rises up to be powerful in the land. But the Bible is filled with those kinds of examples, and our response in the moment may have a much larger and a much longer lasting impact on others than using the badge of liberty to pursue our own desires. Remember, ultimately liberty is granted to us by God. So we need to yield to Him. Because just as Jesus said, not my will, but yours be done, we can say and we can mean those same words, fully practicing liberty and experiencing liberty as God would have us practice, doing what He wants us to do in liberty, not doing what He does not want us to do in liberty. Let us, in liberty, say, God, your will, not mine.